now we have talked about a simple state file which will just install and configure the install the package and then install the service. Okay, so now I'm going to write a detailed salt file which is going to install the package, and for that Apache there are configuration files needed. Okay, and I want to copy the configuration files onto the target. Okay, and then I want to create some directories on the respective servers. Okay, and I want it to react based on the um, operating system. Okay, for when the operating system is Debian based, I want a specific set of activity to be done, and when the OS is Red Hat based, I want to use the another set of instructions to be running, where the package name will be different and the location for this is going to be different, and all those things we are going to do it. Okay, for this, so till now we have seen an example in the state file using the grains. Okay, I'm going to decide what should be the package name. Okay, here what I'm going to do is I am going to create two different state files. Okay, based on the grain value, I am going to decide which state file has to be updated for this. Okay, so for this, I am going to use a concept called compound matching. Okay, so Salt has a compound matcher concept where in my top file, I can use it based on my grain value or some specific regular expression. Okay, so here I'm going to use the grain value. So G @ okay, OS. If the OS is Ubuntu, I'm going to do a different thing. When the OS is CentOS, I'm going to do that. Okay. So I'm going to use this compound matching in my top file. Based on the operating system, it is going to apply the respective salt file. For that, let me create the top file for that first. So my master. So we have the salt directory. The file I'm going to create is called .srv salt. Okay, so this top file can control the execution of the state file. Okay, so this is the file I'm going to create. Top.sls, and here we haven't gone into the environment. I'm going to use the base environment. Okay, and then I'm going to say using this compound matcher grain globe. So basically G @ OS _ family Debian. We know that Ubuntu is part of the Debian. Okay. Matching, I'm going to use the compound match. File which has to use for this is called Apache -Debian. DEBIAN. So I'll be creating two state files. One is called as the Apache Debian and another one is called as the Apache CentOS. So that's what I'm mapping here. Next is G 8. Instead of OS family, let me use the OS here. The OS is CentOS. CentOS, let me validate that once. Also the same thing, match mount, and I want to use the state file called Apache -CentOS. Okay, so this is my top file where I'm saying when the grain OS family is Debian, use the Apache Debian. When the grain OS file is CentOS, grain OS value is CentOS, get the Apache CentOS. So let me save this file. We validate that once, the grain value. OS, what is the output of OS? Salt things.get OS. CentOS C capital, O and S are capital. That's what I have used. So either I can use OS is equal to Ubuntu, or I can use OS family underscore family. In that, if I use OS family, I need to use Red Hat and Debian. So here for one I'm using OS, one I'm using Ubuntu. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is, so this is my top file. Let me share the top file with you. This is my top.sls. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start writing my Debian SLS file. Okay, so prior to that, let me create the pillar file. I'm going to use a variable from the pillar file. Okay, keep it like this. Okay, vi create a directory called pillar first. mkdir /srv/pillar. Because this is the default one, what we seen in the configuration. mkdir srv pillar. So here I'm going to use a variable from the pillar. You will see an example of pillar here. Inside the pillar, I am going to create a top.sls for the pillar. vi/srv pillar top.sls. This is going to refer the Apache pillar file. So I can say base for all the nodes. Let me just do it for all the nodes, then we will come and modify that. For all the nodes, should you Apache SLS file. Okay, this file I'm going to create, and here I'm just going to give my domain name. That domain name I will be using it inside my files and other scenarios. Okay, so this is the file, top file for the pillar. Save this. And let me create the Apache file here. Okay, sorry. Let me call it apache.sls. So I'm going to create a domain called example.com. Mine. So I'll just use this. I'll put a host entry on my local machine and then I will use it. Okay. So the domain name for the website is going to be example.com. Let it be there. Just going to have this content. Domain is example.com. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to create the files for my website. So basically, I'm going to create a directory called example.com and I'm going to put a couple of files inside that. Okay. So first is mkdir rb salt example.com. So here I'm going to put my index.html and that file I'll be copying it onto the minion. Okay. So think of it as a scenario like you have your website files are available under example.com and you are going to copy it to that. And then I'm going to create a index.html srv salt slash index.html. So there, let me write the HTML tag, open the HTML tag, then body tag. Like this up for close the header one tag and then let me close the body tag. Let me close the HTML tag. Simple HTML content. Simple HTML tag. We save this. And then I'm going to create a files directory. In the files directory, I'm going to have my Apache configuration. Okay. So var /b/salt and then files directory. With the files, I'm going to create the Apache configurations. Salt and then I'm going to call it as tune underscore Apache of this is my file. So this file, I'll be copying it onto the target. I'm going to provide a couple of Apache configurations. Configuration. huge thing. Let me just say these are some. Just start typing it. Score. This is something these are Apache tuning parameters. I'm just doing it for example. Max. So it can handle up to 200 clients at a time. Okay. Max. CHILD. No. If module. Slash. If module, I'm opening it. npm pre-fork module. Start servers is 4. Min spare servers is 20. Max is 40. Max clients is 200. Then max request per child is 4,500. And then I'm closing the if module. Okay. So this is the content of the configuration file. The configuration file, I'm going to put it on the server. Then I'm going to create one more file. So site enabled. So basically in Apache, we can have the site enabled, and there I'm just going to put a configuration to enable all the configuration under the site enabled. Okay, so vi / srv salt files clod underscore sitds underscore enabld build. So this is another configuration file where I want all the configurations under the sites enabled directory should be included. And the content will be very straightforward. Include code. Sites enabled r.conf. I just wanted this star.conf to be enabled. So be the content. So all my files are ready. If I try to give a tree command, is there? No, it's not. Install tree. To show you a directory structure, to walk you through the file. Okay. Give tree / srv. So you can see that I have a pillar created. Inside that, the pillar is having a top, and that will be calling the Apache SLS. And in the salt, I'm having a files directory. So these configuration files will be copied onto the target, and the website index.html will be coming from here, and this top.sls will control which file to be called based on the operating system value. That is, it's coming from the grain value. Okay, so these are our old ones. Chaco and HTTP are old one. So this is the structure of it. Okay. Now let's start writing the state file. I want to write a state file based on my operating system. It should automatically run the respective state file. I'm going to create two state files for Debian, one for the Debian OS and one for the Red Hat based OS. So that I'm going to write it in the top.sls. Okay. If the grain value matching some particular parameter, I want a particular state file to be called. And like in our example, if it the OS family is Debian, I want the Debian SLS to be called. When the OS is CentOS, I want the CentOS SLS to be called. That I am going to create it. That is what I have defined it in the top.sls. Okay, that is the first step. And next is here I am going to use a variable from the pillar. So that is what I have defined it in the pillar directory. So I have created the pillar directory. So pillar has the mapping. What should be the, based on the domain name, what should be the variable? There I'm using a variable called domain, and that value will be used inside my state file. That I will show it when you are writing the state file. That's what I have written a top file, and this top file will be mapping the apache.sls inside the pillar directory. This is for the variable store. Okay, and I will be copying 3 files to the target machine. One is 2 are Apache configuration file, and one is the index.html, which should be put on the document root of the website. So those things are under these 2 directory. In the index.html will be copied from this location, and the Apache configurations are copied from this files location. So let me first draw our infra. So I am going to have 2 servers. Okay, one is Ubuntu. Okay. Another one is called as the CentOS. Okay, so OS. Okay, so here I want the package called Apache 2 has to be installed, and here I want the package called HTTPD needs to be installed. Okay. And then adding to that, I want to create Apache configurations. I want to put my own custom configurations. Okay, the same thing I want to do it here also. Okay, and then but note that the configuration file for the Apache 2 and HTTP are different. Okay, I want to create a different configuration file, and I want to create index.html. I want to create index.html, and then I also wanted to create tuning configuration files. So for better performance, the Apache tuning also I needed. Okay, so in this list, this is different. What are all the different thing and what are all the common one? Okay, so this Apache configuration is going to be different. Okay, this index.html are going to be common. So these are common parameters I want to work on. These are different scenarios. So this is what my expectation when I run the state file. Okay. Yeah, how I'm going to achieve it is I am going to write two state files. Okay, let's say I'll put one more diagram. This is what my final I want to achieve it. So for this, in my salt master, okay, this is my salt master. I am going to have two state files. So let's call it as Debian state file. Then next one is CentOS state file. So these are all the two states files, and I need to tell Salt, okay, on what condition you need to apply the Debian state file, on what condition you need to apply the CentOS state file. So that is what I'm going to control with the help of top file. The top file, I'm using a compound matching scenario. So in the compound matching, what I'm going to do is, if the grain value, so that's what we have written in the top.sls, right? If grain equal to Ubuntu, I am going to call this state file. Let's keep this way. If grain is this, I'm going to use this. Okay. If grain is going to be equal to CentOS, okay, on this scenario, I'll be calling this file. So this is what I have written it in the top.sls file. So when I show you the this top.sls, this one, so @/srv salt top.sls. So when the grain value is Debian, it should be calling the Apache Debian, and it will be CentOS, it will be calling the Apache CentOS. So this condition, I am achieving it with the help of this top mapping. Is this point is clear? Okay. So next thing is, I told you there are a couple of common things, right? This index.html and the Apache tuning. So these are common things. So I have created the files under the files directory. So these are all common things for me. So in the common thing, so this will be running on both the machines. Let it be the Apache, let it be the Apache 2 or HTTP 2. These two configurations are common. So common configs. So these are all common ones. So this will be running for both of the machines. So that's why I'm creating them under the files directory and the example.com directory. Okay, so this is what I'm doing it here. And next thing is, I am going to use bring in the concept of pillar. I told you pillar on the top level, you can think of it like a environment variable scenario, right? So that is what I'm writing it here. So I am going to have so basically when you define a website, you need a variable, domain name as a variable, domain name. So this domain name is written in pillar, and that will be used on both of the machines. So I'm going to store the variable value pair from my pillar. And that is what the pillar mapping is done with the top.sls in the pillar /rv pillar top.sls. So here, for any domain name, I should be using the Apache. This will refer this apache.sls. In the apache.sls, I'm having the value for the domain name, which I will be using it in my state file. Now, let us start writing. So out of this diagram, okay, we have written the pillar, we have written the top mapping, we have written the common config, and then the index.html. So I need to start writing my Debian state file and the CentOS state file. So let's start with writing the Debian state file. Oh, okay, I think I missed the vi command. So in the config, Line number 345 is you are going to create this file, include sites enable.conf, and the content is single one line. Okay. So this configuration is to include all the configurations files under the sites enable directory. That's it. So let's start creating the Apache Debian, because that is the name I have given there, Apache Debian. So I'm going to write the state file under, not under any specific directory. I'm going to write it in the salt directory itself. Salt Apache Debian.sls. So here, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install the package. So I'm going to call it as, in Debian, the package name is Apache 2. Okay. Package. Next, I am going to restart the service. So basically I want the service to be started and it should be enabled. Okay. So G2 service dot running. I want it like name should be, name of the service is Apache 2 and enabled. So I want the service to be enabled on the startup. So enabled is true. Okay. Here I am going to define the dependency for the step. Okay. I want this to be executed only when the package is completed. Okay. So that dependency you can define like this. require procure. So before running this step, it will ensure that the previous step is executed. That is, the package Apache 2 is completed. Okay. This is how you can define the dependencies between the tasks. So this service running will execute only after the Apache 2 is executed. So next is I am going to update a Apache configuration. In Debian, there is the default location for Apache configuration will be etc apache 2 apache2.conf. I'll just show you once. Ubuntu, I'll connect to my Ubuntu. I already have the Apache installed there, right? So it's better to have that. And apache2.conf. So this is the configuration file. So there I want to replace a particular value called keep alive. Keep alive. I want to change the keep alive to off. Okay. Keep alive whether or not to allow persistent connection. So if I want to disable the persistent connection, I want to replace it. Okay. So here I have included this step just to show you how to modify a existing configuration, because when you by default install that, this configuration file will be created. In this file, I want to replace the content with the like keep alive on to, I want to change it to off. There is an option called file.replace. That module I will be using it. Okay. We will see that. So for this, I'm going to write an entry. So this is unique to the Ubuntu because the configuration file location for CentOS and Ubuntu are different. Okay, in CentOS it will be etc httpd and then the HTTP conf. So that we will write it when we doing it in the respective CentOS state file. We'll show that. Okay, to do that, to do turn off drive, I'm going to write a block, and I'm going to use a module called file dot while I'm going to replace a particular string, and name of the file, so it is actually etc Apache 2 Apache 2.conf. Sorry, name is slash Apache 2 slash Apache 2.conf. So this is the configuration file I'm going to modify, and inside that I am going to search for a pattern where keep live on. So I want to replace this with this, the short form. So I want to change it to keep alive is in configuration file. I'm replacing a value, then I can highlight o underscore changes just is true, and I can define the recur again. So recur, this is also dependent on the package. This should run only when the package is installed, because without the installation this file will not be available. This is the unique configuration file in the diagram, right? So this is the unique configuration file. I'm going to write it, and other things are going to be common here. So I'm going to say the name. I'm directly going to say that I want this particular file to be created. So it will be etc slash Apache 2 slash conf hyphen available tune underscore Apache.conf. So this file, I'm going to use it with the help of the file resource. So file dot managed fun course. Okay, you know that salt files will be available under the SRV salt. So it will be salt : / files, and I have created a file called tune underscore Apache.conf. Tune underscore Apache.conf. This file I already created. Here also I can define the dependency. And we have the Apache configuration enabled thing, right? So let me enable the /srv tune Apache.conf. this is the directory structure. So I have it till the tune Apache. So once you created this, I am going to enable the tune Apache. So it will be, it will create the file. So the previous step will create the file, and I'm going to enable the Apache tune Apache config. Enable tune underscore Apache. So this is, I'm going to use the Apache module, Apache underscore conf dot enabled enabled. Name of the configuration file is tune underscore Apache. In the first step, I'm copying the file, and the next step, using the Apache module, I'm enabling this configuration. So there also I can define the requirement. These two steps, the configuration file will be copied to the minion, and in this step, the configuration will be enabled. So the next thing is, I am going to create a couple of directories. So one will be your document root. So where www.html will be the default document root of it. So I'm going to say, I want 4 directories to be created. Okay. One is called as the public HTML directory, where my HTML file will be placed. And another one will be the backup directory. Any backups, if I want to store for the site, I can store it. And logs directory is the area where the logs of the website will be stored. And then the default directory I want to be created. So I am going to create a couple of, I want to have these 4 directories created. One is where www.html and the domain name. Okay. Here I'm going to use the variable from the pillar. The domain name, we have written it inside the pillar file, right? So I'm going to use that. First, let me create the directory. So basically the directory is where www/html/. So if I want to use a variable from the pillar, it will be double curly bracket. So inside the pillar, I'm going to use a variable called domain. You remember in the pillar file, this is the variable we have given. I'm going to use this value here. Then I want this directory to be created. So I'm using the file module dot directory. So this will create the where www.html. Our domain name is example.com. This should create this directory. If you see here, currently it will not have that. So cd/where www.html. So inside that you would see only one index.html. So that will be the default page. Okay. I'm not going to touch it. Inside this, I'm going to create example.com. Inside that, I'm going to put the files there. Okay. So that things I will be doing it there. So like that, I'm going to create a couple of other directories. So inside this example.com, I want a log directory to be created for writing the logs of the site. Log. I want a backups directory to be created. I want to create the public_HTML. This is where I'm going to put my index.html. Public_HTML. So these 4 directory I'm going to create. And next is, the next thing is, so here, when you install the default etc Apache 2 sites enabled, you see this by default there will be a 000 default configurations will be enabled. Okay, this is it's always a best practice to remove the default configuration. Okay, so let us remove this, disable this default configuration. So I'm going to use an Apache module for it. So this is the value 000-default is the configuration. 0-default. Okay, I'm going to use the Apache module. In Apache module, there is a site module. Okay, and I'm going to disable this Apache site dot this. Okay, and then just maintain a care here. Mandatory, we can put it there. All these things are dependent on the package. So basically, whenever you by default install Apache, there is a default site configuration is enabled. So I'm just going to disable it using the Apache site module. And then, and if you see this, the site available is the configuration file. When I want to create a new virtual host, for when I want to call it like ubuntu.example.com, I want the Ubuntu site to be configured. So I'm going to create a virtual host configuration for this. So that I'm going to create it under sites available. It will be /etc/Apache 2/ sites available / and I want it to be named as the domain name what I given in the pillar. Okay, dot enough. Okay, and then Apache dot config file is the module I'm going to use, and I'm going to write a config. This will be the config file entry. This will be -virtual host. I'm going to create a virtual host in the Apache, and this will be listening on the number 80 or :80. So this will be listening on the any domain name on port 80, and the server name will be So I'm going to use the pillar value. So it will be example.com. That's what we have given in the pillar. Then server alias is I'm going to call it like ubuntu.example.com. So I will call it like ubuntu pillar domain, and then I'm going to provide all the document root and other things. Root. So we know that where www.html pillar domain and then /public.html. This is the location where I will have my index.html, and I can write the error log in the methodology. I want the error log to be available under this directory log slash error.log. So basically, I want that site to be serving the page from this particular location.
Particular location.
Default will be var www.html. For this particular virtual host, it will be serving it from the var www.html. Pillar.domain will be example.com/public HTML, and inside that I'm going to put my index.html file. Custom log be like var log. Okay. And then access access.log space combined. This will give me the combined log. Next will be, I need to enable this site. So I will use the same thing. So the domain name will be pillar.domain. The site will be with this name, and using the Apache site enabled option, Apache site dot enabled. Okay, I'm going to enable it. I can define my require also here. All these things I'm just using this require. Fine. I think this require, I missed the package. Just a minute. Is the package hyphen. It should be hyphen package. Click here. Enabling this site. Next is I am going to copy the index.html. So basically it will be public HTML slash index.html colon, okay, file dot managed and source is, so it's from the salt directory, salt // So this is under the example.com, right? Example.com is a variable from my domain. Okay. Slash index.html. Okay. So this my state file is ready. So let me repeat whatever we have done. So the first thing is we are installing the package. Next, we are starting the service, and then we are existing Apache configuration file. We are replacing a particular line using the file replace option, and then we are copying the tune Apache configuration file, which is common for both of them, and using the Apache module, I'm enabling that configuration. Okay, and then I'm creating the directory structures which is needed for the website. That is var www.html example.com. I'm just going to create the directory structure, and then I'm disabling the default site, that is 000-default, and then I'm creating a virtual host entry with the example.com, and alias I'm going to put it like ubuntu.example.com will serve this page. Okay, then we are having we are enabling the virtual host entry. This configuration we are enabling it, and then we are copying the index.html from the file resource to the target machine. Okay, so let me save this. Let me try to run this, and I will share it with you. Okay, because I don't want any mistakes to be done here. So it will be I wanted to apply it only on the Ubuntu to start with. So salt ubuntu.training.com, then state.apply. I'm not giving any folder here because no sites available. It is not created. So did I make a spelling mistake in the site available? Let me validate that once. Spelling mistake. TC Apache 2 sites available. ABA. ABAILABLE. Okay, fine. This should be fine now. There is a spelling mistake in it. Yeah, there are 0 failed. Okay, great. Now this. Get it from Putty. Salt. This is the file. I'll put it here. This is the file. So once you do it, let us open up a so on your local machine. Okay, this is my host file on the local. Let us put a host entry called ubuntu.example.com, and there put the public IP of your Ubuntu node. Okay, I think my public IP of the Ubuntu node is this. So let me save this and try to access the ubuntu.example.com. Default one. Ubuntu, right? So it's available. Yes. example.com/server alias is ubuntu.example.com. This is the name I have given. Comment root. I have given. Ubuntu.example.com. So I may need to include a restart command at the end. Okay, we can add that. Okay, after putting the changes, I may need to restart it. We will see that example later. Okay, but as of now, you can just try to restart that. That is coming up. Something happened with this particular browser session. Incognito it is working fine. .com state.apply. That's it. We're going to apply it only for the Ubuntu. I think my whole Chrome went into a task. Let me just restart the Chromes once. Is the command. So as the state files are available in the default directory, I am not giving the directory location. I'm just directly trying to apply that directly. Okay. And after adding the host entry on your local, if you try to access the ubuntu.example.com, you should be able to see the content here.